Hello, everybody. So, this is the first round of the three commanders, three-man team tournament that we went to over this last weekend. I've been really busy and haven't had a chance to put these games up. I've been wanting to, it's been killing me, but I'm finally here now and I can finally put these guys up. First, I'll be doing a pairing recap as a separate episode to go over each of the rounds, how we paired, what we did. It was the German format instead of the WTC format. I'll go over that, what it means, and I really like the German format. It is sweet. If you're wanting to host three-man team tournaments, German format, way to go. They figured something out right over there. First off, changes to my list. I have two chimeras instead of one now, and I've been playing one single chimera for a very long time, and that comes at the cost of a unit of battle mages. I'm no longer running one chimera, four battle mages. I'm now running two chimera, three battle mages. To some of you, this may be obvious, but I've been winning a lot of games with single chimera. However, the reason I'm going to double chimera is a playstyle fix, and I'm going to talk about that in this video of how people can prepare and play against Rahn with playstyle fixes, not list fixes. Overconfidence in list fixes like Arcane Vortex or Steady or Spell Denial, things like that, they're good, but you really need to double or triple up on them to really stop Rahn. Playstyle fixes are something you can always do to make Rahn's life difficult, and I'm gonna go over those and the different versions of Rahn kind of here at the end of this game. It'll be a somewhat short game. So, going forward, you'll notice Lord of the Feast is up there. This is Morvhana 2. Don't know what Morvahna 2 did. I honestly dropped the wrong list. If he had dropped Kruger 1, he does have list fixes. That would be a problem for Rahn. So I got lucky and I got Morvahna 2. I really should have dropped Phyros 2. I'll be talking about Morvahna 2 and what she does in this more. But one of the things here, there's this huge, not a huge problem, but a really annoying problem for me, and that is Lord of the Feast. On the advanced deployment line up there, ready to go up, and I can't play this game in fear. I'm going first. I have to gain a lot of ground going first, and I have to set myself up for an assassination run going first. Lord of the Feast can screw that up. So I actually try and bait him a little bit. I put Helios in range of him, and I get Helios as far up as possible. Then I put Rahn behind Helios on a 4 camp. Intentional with no other models in range, hoping that if I can't predict where Lord of the Feast is going to go, I can at least give him an option that is tempting. I really don't want him getting on Alara, because then Disco would be unpowered. I really don't want him killing a Chimera or jacking up a Chimera so it can't be an Arc node. And I also don't want him getting into a pile of battle mages and just killing like 7 or 8 battle mages, because that just completely will take attrition off the table for me. And it might even take an assassination run off the table. So I didn't know this, and it's a cool thing to learn. In this Tharn theme, Devourers host, you can bring on the Spirit Cauldron and Boil Master, and they can season the sauce and gain a couple of corpses, and then just for free, they can do a special delivery and give those corpses to, I don't know, say Lord of the Feast. So he's fully loaded, turn 1, ready to go get in that action. So what happens next? Lord of the Feast gets loaded with those, and somehow he gets a Puppet Master, I believe, which wouldn't make sense because getting the D3 corpses on the Spirit Cauldron and Puppet Master are 2-star actions. I think he can only do 1. I'm not sure how that worked. Maybe he didn't have Puppet Master. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But anyhow, Lord of the Feast walks up, shoots Helios, teleports behind Helios, and does a Thresher. And he finds a vector where he can catch my Arcanist that's down here on the left that I thought I prevented, but I was just a little bit too close. He does his Thresher. In the Thresher, he's hitting Rahn, Helios, and Arcanist because he knows he's probably going to kill the Arcanist because he has Carnage on him from Morvahna 2, so he's a mat 10. Because he knows he's probably killing the Arcanist, he boosts the damage on Rahn, knowing he's going to get the corpse after this Thresher, the Super Thresher, as it is. And he hits Rahn. His damage roll is 666. And we're playing in a church, and it's the first freaking roll of the game, and we're like, whoa, what just happened? And I shave it, and Ron's down to like 7 boxes or something like that. Ron he just took a huge chunk of damage, and Lord of the Feast still has 3 attacks he can do. So all of a sudden, I'm sweating like, whoa, I made a mistake doing this bait. I might just lose the game right now. I'm really sweating. I'm really excited too because this is cool. Like, we just came alive. Like, this tournament is starting off in a big way. So he buys his next attack. He hits. The damage roll is poor. I shave it. He buys the next one and he misses. And this was big right here. This was big. And I think he Puppet Mastered and still missed it. Because if he had hit it, he was going to boost damage. And I think he did 1 or 2 damage on the next one. And with the boosted damage roll, he actually had a pretty good odds of killing Rahn. But because he missed, he could only buy another one. And he did a 7. He needed a 9 to kill Rahn, or maybe he rolled an 8. He left Rahn on 1 box. Rahn is sitting there on 1 box. So, big sigh of relief. He's still alive. Yeah. Then he just moves his army up. However, he does a couple of things that, for moving up, he does a couple of things that are important. He has a white mane here, which can countercharge, which is going to screw up arc node potential anywhere in the middle of that forest. And that's a great play. That's a great list and positioning trick that I hadn't thought of. Well done. It kind of messes me up a little bit. And he cast Arcane Suppression on Brennos, Morvahna's character beast. And I missed this part. He also cast Arcane Suppression on Morvahna. And I didn't know that. Which is a big deal because I can't channel spells within 10 inches of her. It's fine. I can still kill her, but I didn't know that. So I play this little bit of bait game. I need that countercharging dude out of the way. So my plan is I'm gonna walk. I give Pathfinder to Disco, and Alara runs up, and Disco is gonna walk 6 up there, and he's gonna shoot either Morvahna and the one dude if he doesn't countercharge. The idea if he countercharges is I'm gonna beat him up, and then I'm gonna speed to death out of there because he's gonna be engaged with me, so I can't do the spray that I want to hit Morvahna and make everything a little bit easier. He countercharges, and he has 2-inch reach, so he stays out of Disco's 1-inch melee. And Disco's sitting there on a full load of focus like, well, this was cool. Looking over his shoulder like, what were you thinking, Connor? So I got the countercharge out of the way, but at this point I'm all in assassination because I just threw away an amazing piece for attrition and for playing this game out. So the next thing I do is, my plan to assassinate Morvahna is more or less TK the Spirit Cauldron right next to Morvahna, and then force hammer her into, or the Spirit Cauldron into Morvahna. And I'm going to pause right here because one of my friends wants to talk and it's work related. Whew, what a conversation. So, if I remember right, I did some foreshadowing where I told you that Arcane Suppression was up on Morvahna, and I didn't know about it. So I baited out the countercharge, and then I put Chimera over here in the bushes, and the plan is to TK, in the bushes, I mean the forest, and the plan is to TK the Spirit Cauldron and slam it into our Morvahna, and then TK, and hopefully that kills the Spirit Cauldron. And then kind of TK probably this Blood Pact dude out of the way so that Morvahna can come in through there and get pulled over to here and then die. And the pulling will happen by Helios, and the dying will happen by the battle mages. So that plan falls apart immediately when the Chimera is within like 8 inches or so of Morvahna. And 10 inches is Arcane Suppression. And he says, you can't channel through her, through Chimera, because Arcane Suppression. And I'm like, oh, whoa. I did not realize that. And he definitely told me about it. And you can, can't really, there's nothing really written on it. But there's a little marker there. Same marker as the one that's over there. It doesn't say anything on it. But it's a thing. It was definitely a thing. So I asked him, well, if I had known about this, the only thing that would have changed is where I put the Chimera, and it would just be 3 inches back. Can I do that? And this is kind of a sour taste in my mouth if it works type of thing. He's a really nice opponent. He's a really nice gentleman, and he says, you know what? Yeah, I don't like winning a game on gotchas. You've given away Discordia and Chimera for this plan and Pop Feet for basically nothing, and I'll win on attrition. So yeah, go back and I want to see what you're going to do. And he's still pretty pretty content with arcane suppression as a Rahn prevention method, which it's totally not. But I mean, it's good. It's definitely, it makes things difficult for Rahn, but you really need to stack a lot of things against Rahn to shut him down from assassinating you. And I'm going to talk about all those at the end of this game. So basically, I back up just barely out of Morvahna's range, and then, but I'm within 8 inches of the Spirit Cauldron. And so I TK the Spirit Cauldron in front of Morvahna, and then I slam the Spirit Cauldron into Morvahna out of the 10-inch range of Morvahna. And the Spirit Cauldron is about 3/4 of an inch away from Morvahna and its base size. And yeah, so all that happens. Then Morvahna's knocked down. The Spirit Cauldron is still alive and in the way because apparently the thing is tanky as frickin' hell. I thought the 4 dice hit was gonna kill it. 4 dice PAL 12, but nope. So Helios tramples up. He moves the Spirit Cauldron 3 inches to the left, and then he moves Morvahna about 1.5 inches forward, and then he moves her 3 inches to right about here in front of that blood tracker. Then battle mages waltz up 12 inches away and pew 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 force bolt her to the death, and she dies. So kind of hollow victory because he let me have a take back because I did not know about arcane suppression. Very gracious opponent, very good guy. This is very surprising for a tournament. There's lots of things that would have happened if he hadn't allowed me to do that, and I honestly wouldn't have blamed him. That was fantastic. That was very, very fantastic sportsmanship. That is probably not something you should allow or do, and I thought it was very gentlemanly of him. If that was the case, what would need to happen is I would need to snipe out the chieftains of the ravagers back there and back there. I would ignore the blood packs, but I would snipe out the chieftains for the ravagers and attempt to kill as many of the ravagers as I can. Because sniping them out prevents the overtaking, corpse-eating vengeance attacks. I could potentially keep a lot of my dudes alive if I can get rid of those chieftains. Because Morvahna 2's feat is just going to bring them all back to life. But if I can get rid of the chieftains, they won't get their mini feat up. Maybe he can bring them back as well. I need to look into that because that would really skewer up my plan. He intentionally has one dude of each unit that's way back there. And yeah, that's more or less, attrition would not go that well for me, even if I do snipe out the chieftains, even if the chieftains can't come back. It's not the greatest attrition game for me from that point. Also, Rahn had 2 extra focus because all he did was a TK and a force hammer, and he just beat Lord of the Feast over the head with his staff. So that's how that game went. It was a lot of fun. It was crazy. It was really exciting, lots of ups and downs, and kind of soft victory. So now let's talk about Rahn. There are lots of things he doesn't like. He doesn't like casters that are steady. He doesn't like things that can't be push-pulled. He doesn't like anything that's Earth's Blessing. Screw Earth's Blessing. He doesn't like stealth. He doesn't like clouds. He doesn't like things that prevent spells. He doesn't like things that prevent channeling of spells in control range, like Castigate on Rasheth. That's a dick punch. There's a lot of things that he doesn't like. He doesn't like Arcane Vortex on like Mulg or Orin. However, often he can get around. If you just have one of those things, he can play around it. He can like Arcane Suppression, he can get around it. Arcane Vortex, he can get around it because Helios can come up and Tractor Beam either the caster or the Arcane Vortex model out of range. There's if you just have one of those components, like clouds, if you have clouds and you're relying on clouds to prevent the Rahn assassination, or if you're relying on stealth to prevent the Rahn assassination, or you're relying on all these different things, he has weird ways around it with a wide, powerful toolkit. But what you can do to always mess with Rahn, in addition to those things, if you have a couple of those things, you're probably safe. Like Harbinger, sitting behind the wall, so she can't be TK'd over the wall. Doesn't get the backstrike bonuses with a base to base devout that can't be targeted by spells, and 3 shield guards. She's usually pretty safe. She's just like stacked on things, can't be knocked down, stacked on things that Rahn does not like. So pretty safe. However, wherever the Chimera is, you need to build a wall that's a wall of your dudes that's about 10 to 12 inches in front of it. And so hopefully you have survivable dudes or stuff that aren't just going to die to a bunch of battle mages on feet. Otherwise, this is pointless. But like an actual decent freaking list. And you're going to physically block off the Chimeras from getting to your caster, from having landing spots where they can actually do things to Morvahna. Because if Morvahna did not have arcane suppression, this one dude with countercharge is basically locking down my assassination run. If all those blood packs were just run up into that forest and all these blood packs were run up right behind the forest, it gets awkward. Especially if there's people behind them and they're farther than like 2 inches apart, because then I have to do a thing where I go up and I force blast, and that takes focus, and then all this happens. So that's a good way of making Rahn's life difficult. Doesn't stop him, but it's a positioning thing that you can do that makes Rahn's life difficult. Now, when you pair that with proximity of your caster, it can make Rahn's assassination run even more difficult. Because how Rahn's assassination run works, when a Helios is involved, when not a Helios is involved, it's not quite as threatening. Rahn can usually get a Chimera to you. That Chimera can knock you down and TK you. That's just a thing of life. Now, the battle mages usually can't reach you at that point. That's where Helios comes in. Helios can trample forward and drag you out to where the battle mages can reach you. And then it's all over from there. I think everyone knows what happens when battle mages can reach you. Even if they can't drag you to them, they can shoot. They can just keep force bowling you. Most casters will die from that. There are exceptions. So, Rahn starts at the 7-inch line. Helios tramples. We're just going to assume that Chimera has a clever way of getting to you. That's really, really hard to prevent. The wall's a great plan, but we're going to talk about proximity and just assume the Chimera can get to you. So we're going to try and stop Helios from getting to your caster, and it's all about proximity. You start on the 7-inch line. Helios, if Rahn goes first, which is usually how a lot of top of turn 2 Rahn assassination runs work for me, Helios runs up 10 inches, so he's at the 17-inch mark. Then, Helios will then trample 8 inches, so 18-inch mark on my following turn. He can then pull 12 inches, so 18 is 30 inches. And I'm messing something up here. 7, ran to the 17, trampled another 8, would be, I'm so bad at math, 25. Then can shoot 12, which is 37. And there's usually a TK in there of the caster, so 39. So basically, if you come if you come more than 9 inches off the board on your turn 1 and the Rahn player went first, you are in Helios drag range. If Helios is perfectly across from you, which I always put Helios center of the board pretty much for that reason. In this case, the Morvhana was about 13 inches forward, which is usually a pretty safe place to be as a caster. Rahn, Helios, Chimera, not safe. Be behind the 9-inch mark, turn 1. Rahn can be beat on attrition. If you let clever players make clever plays, sometimes you're just going to get assassinated. Take all that away from them. Just don't be behind the 9-inch mark. Then your army gets a chance to do attrition work, or maybe Rahn controls them, or maybe just Rahn wipes them off the board with his feet if you die to boosted POW 10s. But if not, you're playing a game. You have now reached the point where you're playing a game and you did not die the top of turn 2 just by not moving past the 9-inch mark. And that sounds ridiculous. That sounds really far back. Some slow casters with control feats can't do that. But you have to ask yourself, can I win this game? Can I find a way to win this game without my caster until like turn 2 or 3 or turn 3? And usually the answer is yes, playing into Rahn. And if they hold feet, you gotta find some crazy. You gotta wall off. You gotta find some crazy ways not to die. Because if I hold feet as a Rahn player, that means I am saving my feet to kill your caster, and I think that is my best odds of success. And I'm basically just trying to not lose points or not lose models and trade points and bait you into taking control points so that I can kill your caster. I think that's enough said. Make a wall, proximity. Those are your two. Every list can do it. It's two things that can mess with Rahn and mess with his ability on top of what your list hopefully has as natural defenses. Just trying to be a friendly elf helping people not get wronged. Thank you, everybody, and more games are on the way.